Hey, IT Nation, Sean Lardo here with IT Nation. Thank you for tuning in again for another episode. We're definitely coming out with tons of content recently with a lot of great partners of ours. But today is going to be a little different than our usual because typically we're talking about Pitch It or we're talking about the ConnectWise community or whatnot. But we're bringing on for the first time. It's actually a takeover for our live stream with one of our really strong partner, advocate, vendor friends, and actually good friends of mine. Pia. We're going to talk today about the MSP of the future, which to me is exciting because I watched the evolution of MSPs when they were just tech people driving a van. They worked on some computers, clear over to when they started to become what they called break fix people, which they were anyway originally, and over to becoming MSPs themselves and offering some sort of value prop with services. So it's interesting to me to see what PS say about what the future looks like for them. Technology is extremely exciting to me, obviously. Now, before I get into all the rest of that, though, and we bring them on, want to remind everybody that we have IT Nation Connect coming up in just under 2 weeks at this point. November 6th is the first day of it. So if you haven't had a chance to register, please do so. We have a code on the bottom of the screen here for $100 off. Looking forward to seeing you all there. We do have we do have Tony Hawk going to be there. Stone Temple Pilot's going to be there, plus a slew of content that we've actually had produced from a lot of the people that are speakers in space that are experts in their fields. Looking forward to seeing you all there. The link is in the comments as well, by the way. So feel free to take advantage of that code and make sure you get yourselves to IT Nation. Now, as I said, I don't want to spend too much time on all these, and I want to get to the conversation that we have here today. And speaking of IT Nation Connect and sponsors and whatnot and good vendors, let's bring on our group for today, Pia, because they are a vendor sponsor at IT Nation Connect. So we got Gerwai, Aron, and we have James. Good morning, afternoon, gentlemen, evening.
Evening.
Yeah.
Evening.
1 a.m. for Aron.
Oh, where are you, Aron?
Sydney, Australia. So
Lord.
Just down under.
Just
far away.
Dude, the accent is always great. Like if I just keep talking. You know what? Aron's going to talk the rest of the time. We're just going to sit here and listen. Actually, no, James, you can talk.
You might regret saying that.
All right, gentlemen. So first off, thanks for getting on with me today. Appreciate it. Want to dig right into this. You know, it's a polarizing comment to say the future of the MSP because we've all been in the space long enough to know that MSPs will tell you don't know what you're talking about the future MSP, right? It's an argument that lasts the time of everything in this space has been a problem with this, right? So let's talk about what this is all about. And I'll start with you, Gerwai, because well, you're the CEO of the company, so I guess I should start with you.
All good. Look, thanks for having us, Sean. Listen, I think you started off just right. You were talking about the journey of an MSP. Early on it was break fix. Let's go back to like 2000, 2005. And at that point, people were coming out thinking, well, what do I do about this problem of just doing project work effectively? And how do I get to a place where I can get some recurring revenue and have some consistency in the business? And we all know what that consistency does for us. And so if you go back to 2000, like you said, a lot of break fix. In fact, a lot of work was being done through remote control, right? RMM really wasn't a thing back in 2000, 2002. Kaseya was just emerging, level platforms was coming out and so forth. And so I should throw Enable in there too, right? Right in that time frame. And so, what happened, in my at least observation, is that we went from a position of needing to solve for recurring revenue. And some of the solving for that recurring revenue to become an MSP required technology, right? So we needed to go from remote control where you could maybe manage 100 endpoints per tech to a place where you could manage 200 endpoints per tech by deploying an RMM solution where there's some automation going on, a little bit of proactive alerting happening, and you're truly fulfilling the contract, which is we're going to proactively take care of your devices and make sure that we're actively doing things on them. I think the reality is that we're now moving, and we've seen it with BPOS and then Microsoft 365, to less IT infrastructure work, right? And way more cloud services work, and way more, I'd call it kind of business solution architecture work. As an example, if someone were to start a business today in IT, they'd be starting probably a cloud service provider business, one that focuses entirely on those platforms, thinks about, number one, if there's a legacy line of business application on premise, I may not want to even deal with that. I may not even want my team to understand it. I maybe wanted to at least understand how it works, but we're not implementing that stuff. We're implementing modern cloud solutions. And I think that the skill set changes. I think that, the way you think about having to architect the business around margins changes. But I think one of the key things that persists through all of that is that, it's personal opinion of mine, you don't want to outsource your customer experience. And so you've got to own that service delivery aspect of that. And that's where our mission really, really rides home, is that we're focused on that particular mission of making that service desk more efficient, solving some of the challenges that happen on the service desk, and automating a lot that hits that service desk.
So, you're spot on that, right? But to dig into a little bit around what you just said, which is a lot to unpack in general, is how do you get to what you're talking about, right? Going from being able to support 100 to 200, right? It comes back to a conversation you constantly have with process people and technologies, right? So in the future, and going back to the original break fix, it was a one and done. You go and do your one work. You can only do so much work because you have the hours that you have to allocate. And without the right technology in place or the right process, you may only get one customer at a time. But now we're talking about MSPs today being required to not only support their client base, but also if they do co-managed IT, they're supporting that client base as well, right? And that could be, I know some MSPs that are managing 3,000 endpoints, 4,000 endpoints, and then let's not even get into the project work conversation, because that's a whole nother 30% of your week or whatever, depending on how much work you're bringing in, right? So when you're going down this path, what does that look like to an MSP going forward to be able to, the goal is to automate as much as possible, to be as effective as possible, to be able to address as many people as possible, right? That's kind of what the mission is. So how do you guys come into play with this when we go down this path?
Well, I think one thing that's really important for us to establish is, we'll spend some time talking about the future, right? The future of an MSP, and we've just kind of covered some of that. But the reality is that there are MSPs today solving these equations. So the example that I give you is, we have customers that are currently running at 400 endpoints per tech. Okay. So we talked about RMM got us to about 200, 250 endpoints per tech. If you were phenomenal and world-class, maybe you were running at 300 endpoints per tech with RMM technology. But all of this, at the root of all of it, when we talk automation and everything, all of it is really service delivery efficiency at the end of the day, right? That's all we're trying to accomplish here. And what we're doing is, we have set a mission that our one core mission is to solve those service tickets that hit that help desk. And, for a long time, we've been able to automate things at the endpoint, but the next frontier is to be able to automate things that hit the help desk. So whatever that tech team is facing, there are plenty of cases where we can use modern technology that's available today to solve the equation to get to a ratio of 400 endpoints per tech. That's the mission we're on.
Wow. Okay. So I'm assuming that, well, Aron, I apologize because you probably have the most work to do with this while Gerwai talks about all the things you're going to accomplish, which is brilliant, by the way. Gerwai did put on Aron. So how do you get there, Aron? Like, what are you guys going to do differently? Because you guys have evolved over the last 2 years. So
yeah, absolutely.
How do you guys make this happen? One, when it comes to technology, and two, we're going to come back around and we're going to talk to James about it, is how do you get the MSPs to buy into this, to understand how to do it and why they should do it? So Aron, you're up.
Yeah, for sure. So we started out solving these problems like a lot of MSPs do. I think when Gerwai talks about the challenges, it should ring true to a lot of MSPs, because a lot of MSPs today are trying to do the same thing, right? They're looking at automation to do this. They're looking at specific challenges on their service desk and how to remove roadblocks and reduce the reliance on their staff having to manage such a large burden and an undertaking of what the modern MSP has to deal with, right? So what we really do is focus on specific use cases for MSPs, and we look at this for all of our customers and really drill down into creating experiences and automation around these use cases that actually resolve tickets, that actually solve tickets on the service desk. That is our primary goal. And what PIA allows people to do is effectively let PIA in terms of the automation actually take over and be contributing to the resolution or completely resolving tickets on the service desk, right?
So before we go further, we hear this a lot about making it easier to resolve tickets, right? We hear a lot of things about automating, and let's separate the three terms between automation, machine learning, and AI, because that's always been the fight over the last 10 years, right? I've been hearing about machine learning and AI for the past 20 years, and the only AI I ever saw was the Terminator. So, and that's just a movie. So realistically speaking, though, every MSP is going to say, well, what does that even mean to us? I've heard this before. How do you guys make this happen? What's the difference? What changes here?
Yeah, for sure. So effectively, in terms of the latest technology, and obviously you talked about AI there, we've been solving challenges around automation for the last sort of 5 or so years when we started building this out. And I can remember a time in 2020 when I sat down one day and said, well, we really need to solve this analysis issue of how do we understand the tickets, right? We have to understand the information coming through to actually automate. You can't build an automation without understanding the information and the tickets coming through. So from an AI perspective and a machine learning perspective, at that time, we started out on our journey. This was before, I would say, AI was cool with the most recent trending LLMs and things. But we've really used it as a way to open a new door into solving this problem for MSPs. And I think that's the key here is it's the application of AI and how you apply that to solving the challenges. That's how we take it, and that's how we look at it, and how we utilize AI and leverage AI to
Sure.
actually applying it to the problem.
Now, for those that are using multiple technologies to run their business, because we know that every MSP is using no less than 4 or 5 different vendors to do a bunch of variety of things. Some are using ConnectWise PSA along with whatever else they're using, like a thread, for instance, for chat, right? How do you guys play in that? How does that look if they're using you guys alongside? Can you support that even?
Yeah, so we have in terms of running alongside, definitely we run alongside other technologies in the space. We have MSPs within our customer base using different technologies within the space for different purposes. Something that we do really well is identifying tickets where we can run an automation. We have our machine learning that can analyze tickets and determine the meaning of those things from natural language that people are using to submit those tickets. So that's something we do really well. That's something that people get a lot of benefit from when we can identify categories of ticket and help people understand what kinds of things are coming through from a throughput perspective to their service desk, and how much of that can PIA automate. How much it is an opportunity for it to automate if you configure it the right way, right? So there's a lot of that analysis aspect, which is the primary component of our AI at this point in time.
Perfect. Okay, so I promise you, James, I was bringing you in, so this is a good segue into that. So with everything that Aron just said, with all the promises Gerwai made for Aron to do all the work he has to do, and then now somebody's conveying this message to the partners, one of the biggest challenges that we've seen in the space always is you got the greatest product in the world, but people understanding what it does and how to and why they should adopt it and what makes it easy about this. How do you get this to the space? How do you talk about it with them, and how do you make them realize it's important?
Yeah, that's a great question, Sean. And one that we spent a lot of time working on. And I think the advantage that we've got, quite frankly, is we've come from an MSP. This technology was born out of an MSP specifically to solve for MSP problems and applications. So Aron and I both started there at Virtual IT Group, and then the transition over into PR. We can talk at the same level as our MSP partners, and when they can see that you don't have to have software developers or people dedicated to this technology, because Aron's built it in such a way, we've built it in such a way where they can take it, essentially plug it into their MSP and start getting some real tangible ROI. That message and that impact is a lot easier to discover.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we've got hundreds of partners out there using it, we're seeing a lot more of that that community interaction as well. Like, people are now coming to us with stories that they've heard in peer groups or other partners around there, with the impact that they're receiving, to the point that Gerwai was making around endpoints per tech ratios, efficiencies, just the scalability within their businesses.
So, okay, so you touched on a few things with this that, and I don't want to make it too much about this, but it's important, the ROI and everything else. So coming full circle with the fact that you're given the ability to support more customers as a result of your efforts, right? To the fact that you're looking at talking about ROI and who's using it and how. What should an MSP expect from you all if they use your product? What's the change in their business?
Look, it's multifaceted with a technology like this. There's AI, there's automation. One of the big things that our partners come to us with in terms of what's impacting their business is the consistency. So not having to rework tickets and getting it done the right time, the first time, every time. So a new user onboarding is a great example. It can be really painful if an MSP has to rework that ticket. And I was having a conversation with one of our partners last week, and that ticket alone was such an issue in their business. They actually had 2 people dedicated to working those tickets. One to do the initial ticket, which took about an hour and a half, and then another person would check and make sure everything was correct. So it was a 2.5-hour ticket with 2 resources. Now, a few months into PR, he shares a story that's down to about 25 to 30 minutes with just 1 resource. So the time that's freed up in that business for them to now go and do projects and become profitable in other areas is phenomenal. So those are the stories that I love hearing from partners.
So you're talking about a 75% adjustment, essentially.
Yeah,
to that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, okay, so I love data, right? I love numbers and crunching, especially because I was in sales for a long time, and pipeline reviews were all about numbers, right? Activity to skill set to close, right? That's what we're talking about. So, and help desk is no different when it comes to this, right? Because they're on the same mission of activity leads to results, and you have to have the results of X, whatever that is. So in the case that you're referring to here, if you're saving 75% of your time on something as simple as that, now maybe they're the worst case scenario, but I can't see a lot of MSPs not being far off from at least a 40% adjustment, right? You're looking at them literally being able to support 75% more customers if they're able to go sell and grow, or endpoints or whatever, maybe, right?
I love that. Yeah. So that's
right.
That's the message that I sell is, we're not here to take people's jobs. We're here to empower the current people that you've got. Put your arms around those technicians and grow that business without having to hire in the linear fashion that we've been used to. And, to Gerwai's point, we're about disrupting that equation. Too often, we've looked at the help desk, and every time we grow the business, we've got to throw another body at the desk. Every time I hit 200 to 300 endpoints, another body at the desk. So that means as our top line revenue grows, our expenses pretty much track in the same direction, and our EBITDA just flat lines. So we're about breaking that equation. And I tell my partners to go and, grow that business as fast and as much as you can, and not throw more bodies at the problem anymore.
So that's great. So what does the ratio look like moving forward then for any of these MSPs? Like, if it's 200 to 1, what is it? Is it 400 to 1? Is it 300 to 1? What does it look like moving forward for them?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's some great partner testimonials on our YouTube channel. Shameless plug on that, where I get my partners to talk about those exact numbers. So now I've got partners that go from like 190 endpoints per tech down up to 300 to 350 within the space of 12 months. Like to Gerwai's point, we've got partners over 400 endpoints per tech. And the journey to get there is not a long journey. If you can imagine, 12 months to increase the ratio by that amount, the impact to the bottom line EBITDA is significant. Another example, I had a chat with a large MSP partner in the UK a couple of weeks ago when I was over there, and the impact that they've had in those numbers is they, as by nature, they're a big MSP. They have natural attrition. They haven't had to backfill over the last 6 months, which,
Wow.
as any MSP knows, if you've got 5 people on the help desk, you need 5 people on the help desk to do those tickets. If someone leaves, the next day you're calling the recruiters to fill that spot because that's the formula you've got on the help desk. Not anymore with Pia.
Yeah,
So-
Sean, this ties into your future of the MSP conversation, right?
That's
Our
what I'm doing.
vision of the future of an MSP is that, if you look at an MSP today, about 80% of the team members in an MSP are on the help desk. Okay. And that's an equation that we've got to really work to solve. Number one, recruiting new teammates is sometimes hard. Finding teammates with talent and the experience around IT to do their job that they need to be able to do to support these kinds of tickets is difficult to do too. Like we've got people offshoring these kinds of functions and so forth. So, what we believe, number one, is the MSP of the future definitely can run much more efficient than it does today. Okay.
I love it.
And to James's point, we're not trying to displace anyone. What we're trying to do is give them opportunity to grow and work on more important things. Like, should they really be running a PC troubleshooting automation themselves, picking through remote controlling a device and like picking through logs and so forth? Let us process that and bring it back into the ticket where that tech team member needs to work. And let's assist them getting that really administrative and laborious work done. Just categorizing a ticket, you no longer have to read 3 paragraphs of what's going on in the ticket to categorize that ticket. That's a major load off of the tech team. And quite frankly, we talk about the mental health of tech team members. That cognitive load is up here. If we can bring that cognitive load down and we can have them focused on the really deep, challenging things that we need tech team members working on, they're going to be much more efficient, much more effective. And at the end of the day, your profit margin is going to increase. Your gross margin is going to increase, right? And you're going to be a healthier business because of it.
Yep. So I like the whole concept behind that because if you think about, think of marketing automation when it came out back in the day, right? When I first worked at a big company, marketing team consisted of 150 people for a large company. Most of them were administrators. They weren't the skill set people. They were basically people that were counting the beans because there was no way to automate that, right? They were the ones that made sure the campaigns went out, whatever else happened, right? So it's pretty funny that the tech industry took this long to start addressing it the same way when marketing addressed it 10 to 15 years ago, because it went from 150 people on a staff to 10. And it was the skill set people because you had a platform and a technology to do that stuff for you. And now you're at a stage where you can worry about aces in their places, essentially. And that's what you're saying here.
Yeah, it's a convergence is what's happening from what we can see. I've been working with some AI technology, NLUs, NLPs since 2019. That's right when Aron started. It's kind of funny when we met each other just about a year ago. We were on the same path, just working on it in different businesses. And the reality is it's not about AI. It's about what new opportunities we can unlock. What new problems we can unlock with the technology. And so we're not an AI company per se. We're just taking AI technology and applying it in a way to solve problems that was never possible before, right? That's what gets us excited. We get super excited about solving challenges, reinventing the way an MSP is going to operate in the future. Being part of that journey is just a phenomenal part of our excitement every day. We just get super excited to solve that equation. And so when I met Aron and James and Christian and the entire team at Pia, I was like, wow, this is phenomenal. I had been trying to work on this with triage, just like the triage use case back in 2019. And the technology was working. Like it was proving that you could read a ticket and you could come up with an assessment of, number one, what kinds of triage questions we might want to ask in this case, like what the intent of that ticket is, We could categorize it back then. And the technology's only gotten better since then. So, at the end of the day, we've got, like James said, hundreds of customers using this technology. And we're in a position now to really say that the future of an MSP is actually today.
So let's dig into this for 1 second, because again, MSPs are going to say, well, AI, great. That's what does it mean? Right? What does it mean to you guys? One, in this case. Two, the storyline has also become the matter of bad data being put in, right, and coming out and whatnot. Resolutions don't work well because of the lack of clean data. So how do you guys work within this, and what does this mean to you? And Aaron, we go with you.
Yeah, good one for Aaron.
Oh, I got you, Gerwai. I saw
I can take it too. You want to hear my opinion on it?
No, I want the expert on the phone.
It's an interesting question. If you look at a ticket, you take a ticket, right? Someone logs a ticket to the service desk and says, my computer's broken, I can't do this. Sometimes the person's just writing any old language in the ticket. It might not actually be super helpful. If they're not familiar with the technical terms, they might have said the wrong thing, right? So you've got this understanding of natural language problem, which is part of what we've solved with what we've done. And there's a whole range of issues around how information is translated into useful action within what we are doing. And that's one of the most important things that we focus on, is making sure that the MSP feels like they're in control and that they are in control, and that there isn't just some magical, AI thing over here in the corner making decisions, and they don't have their hands on it. And that's something that I think we've been able to do with the introduction of a lot more of those capabilities into our product. So we do focus on that, but a lot of the capabilities around AI analysis and understanding of the ticket is focused on that aspect. And then, of course, things that there's a lot of functionality and a lot of vendors in the space coming out with solutions around summarizing tickets, looking at old tickets to kind of understand how you previously solved the problem, those kinds of things. Where we really focus on with our application of AI is how can we help you solve the ticket? Like, how can we automatically solve the ticket? That is our primary focus of our AI, and not necessarily some of the other kind of AI wrapper kind of technologies, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
no,
Sean,
that's fair. Good.
What I'd add to that is that, it's much like, well, let me go back a little bit. I've been in tech, I've been in software since prior to Y2K. That shows how old I am. But
You're old.
Yeah, I'm too old. I should retire tomorrow. So the reality is that it takes a lot to hit commercial viability, in my opinion. Right? There's a lot we have to ensure that doesn't go wrong with new technology like this, to make sure that it's in a position to be deployed. And you see it with other technologies using AI. Tesla is a great example. You still have a steering wheel in the car, right? You still have a driver that can take over when the technology doesn't do what you need it to do. And that is entirely our model. Our model is tech assist. Okay, we're there to assist a tech. We need that human brain on these issues, and we need it to help create those guardrails to where if the technology isn't behaving the way it should be, we definitely need them involved and helping redirect things. But when we do have a high degree of confidence and that human tech team member agrees, then that's when we initiate our automation. In fact, we require that the tech initiate it in each instance at this point, unless it's something like analysis, right? So we're getting to a point now where we can auto run some of these analysis-based things. So
exactly.
For a PC troubleshooting use case.
Okay.
Right. So we get a ticket in, we're processing that ticket. A tech team member or dispatcher hasn't even had to touch the ticket yet. We will pre-process that ticket and we will take it on its journey as far as we possibly can with automation. And so an example of that is we diagnose or we determine that it's a PC challenge. And so we'll run the troubleshooting automation that we have that brings back a bunch of rich information into the ticket, so that the moment a tech team member touches that ticket, they've got a dashboard of information. Number one, living in the PSA that they work in the ticket experience that they live in, and providing them way less work that they have to do, right? They don't have to go process that. They don't have to go check the RMM. They don't have to go remote control the device. We bring it into the ticket for them.
Yeah,
we're doing that dynamically in a lot of different use cases.
That's the key, is using that and leveraging that deep understanding of the information of the tickets to then say, well, we can actually go and run this targeted diagnostic or targeted self-healing action in this situation, and potentially even resolve the issue completely. And then the engineer hasn't even opened the ticket yet. They can open the ticket and see that this information in the ticket, and they can see the actions that may have been performed, and then actually progress that further.
Perfect. And then so this all reports into whatever PSA they're using then, correct? So they're actually not going into your platform. They're staying in their world. They don't have to go anywhere else.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then two, do you guys have, when it comes down to the analysis and reporting and whatnot, how's that reporting look? Where does that go? Is there like a dashboard created, or is there a report created from you all? Just so, because for me, if I'm running my business, and if I want to compare you to my tech team, how do I see the two? That's what I would like to know. Like who's more effective, and what's the time? Like what's that turnaround time? Like again, I'm looking for my KPIs in this case, right?
Yeah, so we do have reporting which shows automations that people have run or that Pia has run, where there were missed opportunities, what percentage of tickets we can run automations on that maybe you haven't currently configured Pia to do, so you can take advantage of that. And then in addition to that, we do also support things like your ability to set fields or log time within the ticketing system as well, on behalf of the automation itself. So if you want Pia to log time every time it performs an automation action, you can do that as well. And then you can track the time that Pia is actually logging.
Nice. Do you guys have a report that I can do a comparison though between my team and Pia and see what the effectiveness is?
Well, the way we try to look at it, Sean, is how effective was a tech team member doing it manually the old way, and then how effective are they with assisted by Pia?
Sure, exactly.
So
that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. It's like, because if I'm a business owner, I'm looking for how to leverage anything I purchase in the right way. I'm making sure it matches up with my team, because also any technology, no matter how great it could be ever, if it affects the culture, people will abandon it. They won't adopt it, right? And I also, as an owner, I'm trying to sell my team on the importance of this as well. So that comes in the nut and bolts of the conversation, right?
Yeah, so we do that for our customers. But in addition, James, why don't you share how you approach this as it relates to someone trying to evaluate what the technology can do for them?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we've got the ability to do as well, Sean, is take your tickets and have a look at how many tickets you're currently doing and the types of tickets that you're running in the MSP today, and we can run that data through our machine learning model, and Pia will generate a report for us and identify, here's all the tickets that we could have helped with over the last few months, and here's the amount of time that you could potentially save by automating those tickets with our technology. And it gives you a very clear indication of, this is your data, these are your tickets, and this is the output that we could potentially work to achieve together in the partnership. And that's very impactful, because then they can see, how we can move the needle, how far we can move the needle with the stuff that we just got off the shelf. Yeah.
Right. And I imagine then the conversation should, for the business owners, the MSP owners, the conversation should turn into, now that we're able to save some time for you all, let's work on development of you all to the next level. So level 1 to level 2 to level 3 to whatever you want to be. I would hope that'd be the case for them. Not saying it will be necessarily, but
for the bulk,
at least gives them the option.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Look, we've over our journey, we've seen, I call it the good, the bad, and the ugly, in terms of, people coming along the journey for different reasons in their, decision-making lifestyle with this technology. Where I've seen the MSP partners really excel, to your point around adopting it, getting the tech to use it, and really, crushing it from a numbers perspective, are the ones that are embracing technology, and they can see that their MSP of the future, the name of this podcast, frankly, is one that's going to be embracing AI, and they're empowering their technicians. They're not trying to fire their technicians. They're empowering them to use the technology to enhance their jobs and their skill set, and then move them through the business. And those are the MSPs that are crushing it today.
Perfect. Okay, good. So we have a couple minutes left on this, so I'll make sure that we're mindful of time and we don't get just shut down on our live stream, because you get to have good closing remarks, and closing remarks are always the most important. Actually, sidebar comment though, I had Gerwai on as a cameo coach for Pitch It, and you did a great job, by the way. Never had a chance to talk to you about it. And Gerwai had like the best closings. He was talking about M&A, and he was like, I don't know what we're talking about M&A. We should be talking about you making more money first and growing, so you don't lose not too much of your business when you go looking for any kind of money from anybody. And you made a comment even to one of the vendors that said, yeah, we have 100 customers, and you said, I'm concerned that you've been there for 2 years, but only 100 customers. And part of the reasoning was scalability. They had worked on it over the last 3 to 6 months. So, and this is a good tie into what you guys do. Essentially, you're given the ability for MSPs to have scalability.
Yep, absolutely.
And minimize the staff in the right places. Keep the ones you're supposed to, or upgrade the people that are there to do better things for themselves as well, and be a bigger contributing factor to the business.
Yeah, look, I mean, an MSP business model is trading time for dollars, right? It's still that way. Now we're on a recurring basis of doing that, and we do projects and all of that. That's great. But at the end of the day, it's trading time for dollars. And so we've been on this journey for a long time, since 2000. Remote control, that technology got us so far, right? It got us to the 100 endpoints per tech. RMM came out. We got to the 200 endpoints per tech. But then it stalled, quite frankly. Now, really, really elite MSPs pushed through a little bit. But still, what were they doing? They were automating at the endpoint. They're automating on servers. The next frontier is to solve this load that hits the service desk, right?
Yep.
And to be able to do that in a scalable fashion, as you mentioned, is the next stage of what we've got to do. Now, you can try to boil the ocean with automation, and that's a mission you can be on. But the problem, in my opinion, on that is it's not tackling the really, truly root cause of what causes an MSP to be inefficient. It's at the service desk, and we all know that. Now, you could say, well, our projects are inefficient too, right? But it isn't the lion's share of your contracted revenue that drives that. So we've got to find a way. And I think the key thing is, as I mentioned earlier, technologies are converging to make new possibilities happen, right? And so all AI has really done is just created a new toolbox in our software toolkit to unlock doors that we could never walk through before. And that's what we're solving for. I'm super excited about it. The entire team is super excited about our mission. And I think, I think we're making a big difference for people, for sure.
Absolutely. And we got, like I said, we have a few minutes left. So I want to touch this real quick though. You mentioned project work. Even though it's project work, if it's an existing client, we know that also falls back to the service desk when issues, they literally submit tickets because maybe it's not educated or set expectations on where communication should route to, right? So service desk is always involved. So do you guys have the ability to, I don't know if it's necessarily, it's not going to be a full-blown resolution, but can you set up AI to work with when anything like that takes place? So they put in a ticket saying, hey, this isn't delivered, blah, 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 whatever. Do you have the ability? Will that filter those out? Will those, do they distribute somewhere else? Do they respond? What does that look like?
Aaron, I'd love to take this one because I'm going to prove how much I know here. How about that?
Go for it.
All right. So one of the things you can do is not only when we're analyzing a ticket and we're reading through and using ML to figure out what that ticket is about, you can also force routing rules. Okay. And so we can enforce routing rules where if you identify that this is related to a project, you can route it into the project ticket or into the team that's responsible.
Got it. Okay. So
I just want to point out as well, just on the support side of things, and something that we pride ourselves on is that we aren't supporting, or we don't automate one client or two clients or three clients in your MSP. We automate all clients. And so when we say we have automations for particular categories of ticket, we aim to cast a wide net as possible. So if you're migrating a technology for a particular client, we likely support both scenarios anyway. Whether you before the migration and after, so we can likely support the requests in either case. But yeah, to Gerwai's point, definitely you can route the information around and make sure that during key transitionary period you're not going to get stuck.
Perfect. You're such a show off, Gerwai. Anyway,
look, I'm not here to I actually understand the technology, Sean. Can you believe it?
Not just a pretty face.
I appreciate that, dude. An old pretty face, huh?
I mean, you look kind of young still, dude. Let's be honest. You're looking young. Something in the DNA for you.
It's the picture.
It's the water.
It's the water.
Florida water.
It's the hair on your head for me. I don't know. I mean, hey, whatever. All right, gentlemen. Well, we're going to wrap this up. So is there anything you guys want to part with? Any parting words from anybody but Gerwai? Perfect. Good. Look at you. Go ahead, James.
Yeah, fair enough. Look, I appreciate
you said fair enough, Gerwai. Fair enough. You're right.
Good. We're good.
Yeah, look, we're excited to see everyone at IT Nation in a few weeks' time. We're excited to be there. Aron's actually coming over from Australia, so that's going to be big for our current partners and any prospective partners that are looking to learn more about AI and the technology and what it is that we're doing and the impact that we're having on the MSP community today. So yeah, if you haven't already got your tickets, I'm doing your job for you now, Sean. Make sure you get it with the link there. You're getting a discount, and we look forward to seeing you there.
You know what, James?
Yeah.
Thank you. James is he's a constant salesperson. I totally appreciate that, man.
He's an informer. He's amazing at what he does. Aron should share what sessions he's going to be presenting in. That'd be great. Great point.
Yes,
James.
please.
Talk about IT Nation.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have one about the future of MSPs for AI automation and how that applies. And we also have a session. I did throw 50,000 tickets at GPT, so OpenAI, and I'll be presenting what that looked like and how that went. So,
I'm going to come see that one. I'm just curious. I'm very curious because that sounds like a train wreck. So
it was a bit of fun.
All right, so you'll all be at IT Nation Connect, right? So that's good. Looking forward to that, guys. And for those of you that are going to be there, make sure you check out Pia. Make sure you come check out us. Don't forget, I have my Pitch It finals at IT Nation Connect November 6th. So I expect you guys all to be in the audience. So we're clear, especially you, Gerwai.
Absolutely, I'll be there.
Especially because one of the finalists is the one you made the comment about the 100 customers too, is one of the finalists.
All good.
So,
yeah, all good. Awesome. Great to hear.
Yes.
Am I allowed to bring tomatoes and throw them at you, man?
I'm fine. Yeah.
You can handle that, huh?
I'm like Neo in the Matrix. You're not going to hit me. I'm so fast.
Love it.
I'll have to stretch and get limbered up a lot of what So, yes. And actually, if you see, we have a private chat. Jess Kane said, please do bring tomatoes. So she's a huge supporter. Gerwai just walks off screen.
Okay. I got it figured out. We got red balls.
There you go. Prepared.
Of course. So, okay. So thank you all for being part of this. Really appreciate it. Nice job. I'm glad to hear about I'm glad we got to dig into AI. I'd like to dig more into it later on at some point. Love to see like a full-blown workshop someday, especially from you guys since you are doing it. But otherwise, everybody that's watching, thank you for watching. And we'll see you at IT Nation Connect. And don't forget, Pitch at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard, November 6th is the open bar. The competition starts at 3. So literally I'm buying you drinks to come watch people.
Awesome.
So, all right, everybody. Thank you all. See you next time.
Thank you.